Hi, third graders. Good morning. Today is Monday, May 18th. Can you believe that May is more than halfway over? And how do I know that May is more than halfway over? Because it's the 18th day. So that is more than half of the days in the month. Speaking of halves, our calendar pieces today have a theme, and let's see if we can figure out what they are. So let's get started. All right, so for our 11th day, we have this piece here. And what we've been doing is we see an array. So we say how many rows and how many are in each row. 1, 2, 3, 4 rows, 3 in each row. 4 times 3 is 12. So we know that our denominator is going to be 12 because that's how many pieces there are altogether. And then the numerator is how many are red. So I know that there are, look, it's a mini array inside this big array. So 2, 4, 6, I see there are 6 out of 12 that are red. So here I'm going to write 6/12 are red. And my fraction I can fill in again is 6/12. All right, so what's left that's blue? Guess what? The same amount is blue. So 6/12 are blue. So that is our piece, our first piece for today. All right, so our second piece that we're going to record is, oh, we're back to pizza. All right, here is our pizza pie. All right, so let's see how many pieces there are altogether for our denominator. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 pieces would fill the whole thing. How many are still here? I see 1, 2, 3 pieces. So 3 out of 6 or 3/6 are still here. So 3/6 haven't been eaten. And here I'm going to write 3/6. So that means that 3/6 have been eaten. All right, so that is our next calendar piece. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at next pattern is our clock. Oh, if you look at the clock, how many minutes have gone by if we're at the halfway point of the clock? So I can count around 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So 30 minutes of the clock have gone by. 30 minutes of the hour have passed. And that reminds me of our other activity that we will do tomorrow with our clock faces. So 30/60ths of the hour have passed. Okay, so that's 30/60ths that we can write. And that also means that there's still half an hour is left. 30/60ths of the hour are left. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put this up here. All right, and then we're going to take a look at our next piece, which is our eggs. All right, if you haven't had breakfast yet, here's a great idea. Eggs are very good for you. All right, so we talked about this before. How many eggs are in a carton? This is a dozen eggs, or 12. And how many are still here? There's still 6. So we say 6 out of 12, or 6/12 are still here. So that means 6/12 are also gone. All right. And then finally, for our last piece for the day, we have the ruler. Okay, so we know that a ruler has 12 inches. And how much are blue? And if we look very closely, we can see that 6/12 are blue. All right, so I want you to notice something about all of the pieces today. All right, so every single piece, 6/12 we had, 3/6 on our pizza, 30/60 for the clock, 6/12 for the eggs, and 6/12 for the ruler. Does anyone notice a common theme? All of these fractions are, wait for it, equivalent. They are all equivalent because they are all equal to a half. Oh, I love half. Half is my favorite because half is so easy. I love it when it's easy. So we're going to talk about that in just a second. But before we do, I want to look at this from last week. I asked you to draw a number line and to try to fill this part in. So we were looking at the 6 and we were trying to figure out how many 12ths that would be. So if I were to look at these, I know I have to times 6 by what to get 12? 6 times what is 12? Oh, it's 2. So if I times this by 2, I can also times the top by 2 to get the equivalent fraction. And 2 groups of 2, or 2 times 2 is 4. And if you look here, it also lined up on our number lines. Do you see that? All right, let's take a look at 4/6. So we know we times 2 to get 12 times 2. 4 times 2 is 4 times 2. 4 plus 4, 8. And look, did that line up nicely? It sure did. All right, and finally we had 5/6 is equal to how many 12ths? If we times our numerator and denominator by 2. 5 times 2, or 5 plus 5, we get 10. So 5/6 is equivalent to 10/12. And look, that lines up nicely. So if you wrote that in your answers, then you are correct and on the right track. Great job. All right, so this was our equivalent, comparing our equivalent fractions for on a number line last time. So today we are going to talk a little bit about how we can compare our fractions to one another. So some of our pieces that we've had so far. So if I said, I'm going to compare, let's see, I'm going to see what's more. Is this more 2/12 or 30/60? Can I do that? Actually, the answer is no. When you are comparing fractions, you have to make sure the whole is the same size. So you know how they say you can't comparing apples and oranges? It's kind of like that. So if I need to compare fractions, I need to make sure they're the same. So I can compare these with these. I can't compare this with the pizza because the whole is not the same. One is a rectangle and one is a circle. So the sizes of the pieces are going to be different. So you could think, would I rather have this little square of pizza, or would I rather have this bigger slice of pizza? So it has to be the same whole. So I can compare this to this to this because they all have the same size whole, right? So let's see. Which one has the most red? I can just look at them and I see this one has 1, 2, 3, 4 reds, 2 reds, 6 reds. So this one is the greatest. 6/12 is the greatest, right? So I'm going to put that here. So what would be next? What would be next? 2/12 or 4/12? Obviously, the 4/12 are bigger. So that would be the next one. And then the smallest would be 2/12. So if I had to order these fractions, it would go 2/12, 4/12, and then 6/12. And also, I want to show you on our fraction strips, if we have 2/12, it's here, right? Then if I have 4/12, it's here. And then if I have 6/12, it's right here. So as we get closer to one hole or filling in the hole, the more 12ths we have, the bigger the piece is, okay? So what I also want to talk to you about, since we're going with our theme of the day, halves, is how we can figure out what is halves. And I know that in my class that we do this a lot. So what I say is to take your fraction strip and to draw a line right on the half. Then to continue all the way down and see what matches. So I'm going to say here, here. Oh, there's a lot. Do you see all of these lines that I drew here and then all of these? Because they're halfway. Half, 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 and half. So this is a half here. I also have 2/4 are equivalent to a half. Then I have 3/6 are equivalent to a half. 4/8, 5/10, and 6/12. So do you notice a pattern when we're doing halves? What do you notice about the relationship between the numerator and the denominator? When it is half, that means that the numerator is half of the denominator. Isn't that cool? So you can think of all kinds of numbers that would work. So here's the trick. You have to pick an even number so you can split it in half. So if I'm thinking in my head, 40. Okay, so 40, I'm going to put for my denominator. And then to get the numerator, I'm going to say, what's half of 40? 40 divided by 2 is, or double, what is 40? It's 20. So 20/40 is equivalent to a half. So what I would like you to do today for your comments, post in your comments, can you name 3 more fractions that are equivalent to a half? And can you try to do some that we didn't talk about today? Maybe some bigger numbers? Maybe 100ths. Oh, I wonder what that could be. All right, so have a great rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow morning. Bye, everybody.